Hey everyone, it's Neil here from Post to Post. Thanks for joining me today. Hope you're having a good start to your week. We're here to talk NHL news, and I just have to apologize in advance. I'm not feeling very well at all. I've got a head cold or something. I don't know what it is. Hopefully it's not the couscous, but I'm going to sound a little bit different in this video, so I apologize for that. It's very late here Sunday. I'm looking forward to going to sleep tonight. But as you watch this, it's going to be Monday, so let's get into the news for Monday, looking at the previous week in the NHL. All right, let's start off with the top 5 NHL teams so far in the regular season. Now, it's a bit awkward to kind of put this in here because, some teams have only played 3 games, some teams have played 6, so it's a bit skewed, but we'll go through it anyway. So the top team right now in the NHL is the Florida Panthers with 10 points. Behind them in second place is the Edmonton Oilers with 10 points. The Rangers sitting in third place with 9 points. The St. Louis Blues with 8 in fourth. And in fifth is the Carolina Hurricanes with 8 points. But it should be noted that there are 4 other teams tied with 8 points as well behind Carolina. The bottom 5 teams in the NHL, some of the names in here I don't think should be in here, just for the record. 28th is the Seattle Kraken. I didn't think they're going to win the Stanley Cup this year, but I didn't think they're going to be in the bottom 5 in the first 2 weeks of the season. Number 29, the Vegas Golden Knights. Yeah, a team that I probably expected to be at the top, not the bottom, so that's a real shock there. They've got 2 points. Montreal Canadiens in 30th position with 2 points. They finally won a game. 31st is the Arizona Coyotes. Things not looking good in the desert. And then in last place in 32nd is the Chicago Blackhawks with also 1 point. So not good in Chicago, not good in Arizona. Montreal at least got a win, so they can hopefully build off that. But yeah, some of those teams need to turn it around. So in the last 6 days or 7 days or whatever it's been, let's talk about the streaks. What team is on the best streak? This is going to mirror a little bit the top teams in the league as the season progresses. This will be a little bit different. But here's some familiar names. In first place is Edmonton. They're on a winning streak of 5. And second is Florida. They're also on a winning streak of 5. Carolina on a winning streak of 4. And St. Louis and the Rangers are also tied with 4 right behind Carolina. Now, the bottom 3 worst streak in the last week is going to be Chicago. They've lost 4. Vegas has lost 4 in a row. And the Arizona Coyotes have lost 3. So not good there. Some teams have had really, really poor weeks in the past 7 days. Okay, let's talk about players now. This is about fantasy, this first section of this video. The top 5 players with points so far this season. McDavid, 13. Not a surprise. Draisaitl, 11. Also not a surprise. Ovechkin, heck yeah, top 3 with 10. Kyle Connor with 9. That's awesome to see. And then Bertuzzi with 9. So not super shocking, but a little bit shocking considering that Bertuzzi, if I'm not mistaken, is not vaccinated and cannot play in Canada. So he wouldn't have played against Montreal that game. I guess it wouldn't matter anyway. They only scored 1 goal, I believe. So not a big deal, but still. Bertuzzi up in the top 5. Interesting. Very interesting. Let's transition to goalies. Top 5 goalies in the NHL right now based on goals against average. And the filter on this is they've had to play at least 3 games. So for example, Reimer has amazing stats right now, but he hasn't played 3 games. So I just wanted to make this about 3 games or more. 3 games or more, rather. Okay, and first we've got Jari, 1.47 goals against average. In second place, we've got Shesterkin, 1.47 tied goals against average. And then Merzlikins, 1.63 goals against average. And then Frederik Andersen, heck yeah, 1.75 goals against average. And then the shocker here, the surprise, Braden Holtby, 1.78 goals against average, trying to revitalize his career, so that's great to see. Okay, let's move on to some of the news here. Faksa has been fined $5,000 for slashing Stützle, or Stützle, however you want to pronounce it. I watched the clip multiple times. I can't decide if it was intentional or not. I feel like it wasn't because he was kind of turning around, and it's like his stick was just like, it almost like the stick was moving at the same time it was coming down. So I don't know if it was intentional, but I think the fine was okay. It's not a suspension worthy thing, so it's a fine, whatever. Speaking of fines, Getzlaf was fined $1,000 for a dangerous trip in the Minnesota game. I actually didn't see that play. I tried to look for it online. I couldn't find it. So if anyone has it, please link it down below in the description. Or in the comment section rather. I would love to see it. But he was fined $1,000. Pretty insignificant, really. Kovalchuk, haven't heard that name in a while. He has been named the GM for the Russian Olympic Committee for the 2022 Olympic Games. Like that's quite interesting. A player that kind of came back into the NHL, had an interesting stint here with Montreal, transitioned to a team, nothing really happened, and then he kind of left the NHL. So it's good to see that he's still involved in hockey and doing some important things in hockey in general, and obviously for Russia. Okay, let's talk some injuries now. This is about the fantasy as well. I know a lot of people watching, they're heavy into the fantasy, they're trading players in and out every single week, so pay attention here for sure. So Kucherov, Out indefinitely for the Lightning with an undisclosed injury. It's not a day-to-day thing, said Coach Cooper. Expected to return this season. I mean, does this not sound super familiar? It just, like, I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't even care. Matt Murray is going on LTIR. It's apparently a neck issue, which is interesting. I believe he left the game the other night, so we'll keep an eye on that. Mark Stone is day-to-day to week. That's the first time I've ever seen a team classify that. Day-to-day to week. It's kind of either or, but anyways, he won't need surgery apparently, so that's great. Jack Hughes dislocated his shoulder and has been placed on IR. He will not need surgery, but he will be reevaluated in just a couple of days, I believe. Max Jones for the Ducks is out 4 to 6 months due to a torn pectoral muscle. A player that most people aren't going to have on their fantasy team, but you never know. I wanted to mention it regardless. Sidney Crosby, he has said that he has no personal time table for him to come back from his wrist surgery. He said, taking face-offs and having contact without pain will be a pretty big step. So we'll keep our eye on that. And then transitioning to some very unfortunate news. Mike Bossy unfortunately has been diagnosed with lung cancer, and he is stepping away from his role as a hockey analyst on TVA or TVA, however you want to pronounce it, sports. So very unfortunate news there. Hard news to read and hard news to hear. Seattle Kraken. This is a very strange one. They've retired, or they are going to retire, or have, I'm not sure. Number 32. They've played, 4 games, and they're already retiring a number? Well, here's the reason. 32,000 ticket deposits were made in a single day for the Seattle Kraken, and they're also the 32nd team in the league. So they figured, okay, well, let's kind of idolize this number. Let's make it a part of our history and our organization. Let's retire the number so no player can wear 32. I get that. That's kind of cool. I'm personally not a fan of teams retiring numbers willy-nilly. I think the Montreal Canadiens have too many numbers retired, and that's my favorite team. So I think there's a lot of really good choices behind that and reasons behind that, but I don't like how many numbers are retired for a lot of the teams. So personally, probably against that decision, but I absolutely understand it. Now, one of the biggest news points in the past week was Evander Kane. He has been suspended 21 games for violating the COVID-19 protocol. And I just want to read his statement here. He said, "I would like to apologize to my teammates, the San Jose Sharks organization, and all Sharks fans for violating the NHL COVID protocols. I made a mistake, one I sincerely regret and take responsibility for. During my suspension, I will continue to participate in counseling to help make better decisions in the future. When my suspension is over, I plan to return to the ice with great effort, determination, and love for the game of hockey." Interesting statement. I feel like he won't be back to the game of hockey. There's so much controversy, so much drama, so much legal drama with him and just his attitude in general, and just like there's so much that comes with Evander Kane. I can just see the San Jose Sharks just going, we're done. But it's a lot of money on the line, so we'll see. But here's what the San Jose Sharks had to say. "While we are encouraged by Evander's comments to moving forward, we are extremely disappointed by his disregard for the health and safety protocols put in place by the NHL and the NHLPA. We will not be commenting further on Evander's status prior to the conclusion of the NHL's mandated suspension." So they're not saying anything until that suspension is over. That leads me to believe that they have something to say, but they're not going to say it until the suspension is over. What could that thing be? That thing could be, we're done with Evander Kane, or we are suspending him as a team. Like we're not allowing him. We're going to make him a healthy scratch. Like it could be 1,000 different things, but I just strongly suspect that Evander Kane and the San Jose Sharks relationship is done. And Evander Kane's relationship with the NHL could also be done. I'm not sure how many other teams are going to want to take that risk. 2 things left. One thing I want to pass off a video to you guys is going to be linked down below in the description, as well as some of these other news stories here. Those are also going to be linked down below in the description if you want to read more. But the video I want to pass off is I'm calling OT Magic. This happened last Monday, the Rangers versus the Maple Leafs. This video that I have linked down below is just the overtime in full length, and it is one of the best overtimes I've ever watched in my life. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it. It is a great 5 minutes. It'll improve your day, I promise. Let's move on to my picks for the week, the games that I think you should watch each day this coming week. Today, I'm choosing Toronto versus Carolina. It starts at 7 p.m. Eastern, and it's all about Anderson. Anderson facing an old team. on a team now that's playing well. Toronto, who started well, but they have their struggles as well. So I think the favorite here in this game is probably the Carolina Hurricanes, but I don't know. We'll see. He's going to face his old team, so I think you should watch that tonight if you can. Tomorrow, Vegas versus Colorado. That starts at 8 p.m. Possible conference finals matchup here, so two good teams going at it. We'll see what happens. Wednesday, I've got Boston versus Florida as my pick that I think you should watch. This starts at 7 p.m. Two very strong teams, two interdivisional teams, two physical teams, and just hold on, I've got more to say in a little bit. Thursday, I'm picking Colorado versus St. Louis. It starts at 8 p.m. It's a bit of a rivalry from last year. St. Louis looking for a bit of a revenge. These two teams play physical when they meet each other, so that's going to be an amazing game, I think. Friday, I've got Columbus versus the Rangers, 7 p.m. Eastern, interdivisional. Both teams playing well. New York playing better than Columbus, but Columbus still off to an okay start, so I think that's going to be a sleeper game this week. It's going to be a very, very good game. Watch it if you can. Saturday, here's where I mentioned I would talk a little bit more about Florida-Boston. They're my pick again. Florida versus Boston, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's the second game in just a few days. Is there going to be bad blood from the first game? Is there going to be drama from the first game carried over into the second game? You know, if there's a fight in the first game and someone loses, in that second game, that person might want some revenge. So I strongly suggest that you watch both of these Florida versus Boston games this week, or Boston versus Florida, however you want to say it. Both happening this week. Please watch them if you can. It should make for amazing hockey. And also, both teams are playing very well. So watching two awesome teams go head-to-head is what I'm talking about. Sunday, my pick is the New York Rangers versus Seattle Kraken. It starts at 9 p.m. Eastern. I believe that game is in Seattle. So if you want to see a game that takes place in the new arena and their new facility, that's probably one you should watch if you haven't watched their first home game. So check that out if you can, because it should be an interesting event. That's a weird arena, but I really want to go because the score clocks are just so interesting. So that wraps up the news video for today, guys. I apologize if it's a bit shorter than normal, if I've left out anything. Like I said, not feeling that great, didn't have a lot of time to do that last minute research, but I appreciate you watching. If you're new, please hit the subscribe button. Come back every Monday for news, just getting you caught up on the week. It's not in-depth news. It's not throwing a bunch of opinions at you. Just getting you caught up in a quick couple of minutes and sending you on your way. So have a great day. Please consider hitting the subscribe button if you're new. Please hit the like button. That helps a lot. And I'll talk to you in the next video. Adios.